Hey guys, welcome back to 3 Points of Articulation. This is Donald. Today we're going to be doing a comic book review, and as you can see, with the new upcoming Amazing Spider-Man movie coming out, we're going to be taking a look at 2 issues of The Amazing Spider-Man from the 1970s. We're going to take a look at Amazing number 121, The Death of Gwen Stacy, and issue 97, Harry Osborn's drug issue. Alright guys, issue 97 of The Amazing Spider-Man. As you can see, there's a lot going on the cover. But that's pretty much the whole cover. That's essentially Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin. We've seen this cover hundreds of times up to that point. Well, I guess only possible 97 times up to that point. But the cover has happened quite a bit because the Green Goblin has always been one of Spider-Man's mainstay villains. But let's go ahead. Enough said on that point. Go ahead and dive right in. And as you can see from the cover, the battle still goes on. The battle's still continuing. And basically Spider-Man is just thinking to himself that he's crazier than ever, referring to the Green Goblin. The fight keeps going on pretty much throughout the book. Spider-Man running. And if you notice on these older comic books, especially from the 60s or 70s, it says continued after the next page. Basically, what that means is there's an ad coming up, and then the story would continue on to the next page after the ad. Now, they did this because they would have ads that would look like comic books, to where there would be different panels for the ad, for an underwear ad or anything. And that ad would have different panels in it, so they would say story continued on next page, and then you'd flip to the next page and you would continue the story on what you bought. And like I said, the story continues. It's Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin, a whole bunch of banter and jokes between the two. And there's an ad again, continued after next page. And there you go.
There's a lot of ads in this comic.
Yeah, a lot of the comics throughout the 70s and whatnot, comics have had their ups and downs as far as popularity goes, and you can really tell the era in which a comic comes from, depending on how many ads are in the book. This book came from the 70s, so there's going to be quite a bit of ads in there. This is back when the envelope was being pushed quite a bit from both Marvel and DC's side and whatnot, so... And right here, the battle's pretty much over. Green Goblin gets away. Spider-Man reveals himself as Peter Parker, and he gets dressed in his Parker clothes, and he's walking down the street and everything, and he's thinking about Gwen Stacy at this point in time, which is his girlfriend. And he's living with his roommate, Harry Osborn, at that time. And as you can see, the way they draw Harry, he's very you can see the sweat marks right here on his forehead, and pretty much everything he says, it's a little out of character, almost as if he's a little distant. Another ad right here, and then the full page. The pages are all back and whatnot. And Peter Parker talking to Mary Jane. And at this point, Mary Jane, yes, is in the book, but like I said earlier, Gwen Stacy is the current girlfriend. And they're talking back and forth, and then it cuts over to Harry Osborn again, and you don't really see what's going on because it's a little bit of a, I guess, foreshadowing for a little later in the book or whatnot. And then there it is, Harry Osborn there, and you start to realize what possibly is going on, and then you come over, and then you get to the switch. The switch.
You know what I noticed? There's an ad on the same page as the comic itself.
Yeah.
Right below that. You don't see that anymore, do you?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
In newer comic books, you see the entire page is comic, and then you flip it, and then it's an ad. You don't see this half sheet thing anymore. And then Spider-Man going out, he's doing his Spider-Man thing, pretty much to get to work, and then there it is right there. Mary Jane runs into Harry, a whole bunch of anger, yelling at each other, and like I said, this whole issue so far, whenever you see Harry Osborn, he's a little out of character, and he's written that way on purpose, and the audience really doesn't know what's going on. You don't really see it, and then you start to see him pop pills, Basically, it's just basic aspirin stuff. More ads, and these are my favorite types of ads. These old 70s ads, they would have stuff like "Don't be fat," you know, and stamp collecting outfit, and you know, and then what was really cool, the marketplace where you could buy your comic books or old comic books, basically like an antique shop or a flea market type thing.
You can have a He-Man voice.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's not the cartoon He-Man. That's just a generic term for He-Man, whatever. Because this is in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's not even. What's a stamp collecting outfit?
You know, I don't know. It says a pocket of worldwide stamps, 9 triangles, 2 diamonds, animals, insects. It looks like just an ad to buy stamps. To start some type of stamp collecting.
Okay.
Yeah. But you don't see these kind of ads in comic books anymore either. So
a lot of these companies probably got sued. So
you know, it wouldn't surprise me. And then right here, Spider-Man swings in, and basically right here, this is what makes this panel right here is what makes this issue so well known. Is Harry Osborn's drug addiction is in this panel right here. I mean, Harry's all over the place. You see the pills and the drugs and everything floating behind him and whatnot. And it cuts down, and Peter Parker walks in. He sees Harry passed out, and wakes him up. And Peter Parker hears the laughter of the Green Goblin outside, and boom, there it is, the Green Goblin. And he says, "Did you expect the Green Goblin to let Spider-Man live?" And that's pretty much the issue right there, guys. And the reason you got the ads still back in the back, floating around. I mean, you can buy Boomerang or
hold on a minute.
Magic deck
Hold on, there's some of Stan Lee's alliteration there. The hints of hilarious hijinks and homogeneous happiness or happenings, happily harvested for heroes like you. Good lord. Really?
Man's well articulated.
Just saying. Spider's web. Okay.
This is basically newsletters that fans would write in, kind of like how they do in current comics now.
Yeah.
So the death of Captain Stacy right there. Like I said, this is still part of the Spider's web. Their little mail-in thing.
Parts of this comic remind me of the first Spider-Man movie. Did they just like replace Mary Jane with, or just replace Gwen Stacy with Mary Jane for that movie or something? To me, it seems like the whole Harry and Peter living together, and you know, I don't know.
Well, a lot of that book or a lot of that movie was pulled from Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A lot of the beginning, I should say, and then a lot of the ending parts. Later on in the movie, the last 45 minutes or so, were really pulled from the Amazing Spider-Man books. So, and the reason why, guys, I did this one before I did Amazing 121. Basically, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 121 is credited as really taking Spider-Man down a darker route, and this is basically, you know, the start of. Like I said, the story is Dark Side, and that's where a lot of people credit this book for. But before that, before this issue, you know, like I said, there was Harry Osborn's drug issue. There was the death of Captain Stacy, which is Gwen Stacy's father, and stuff like that. And those two issues really aren't credited for much for being in the darker universe. Now, this book. DC and Marvel were doing their anti-drug issues and whatnot at the time. And, this book was overshadowed by the drug issue that the Green Lantern and Green Arrow had at the time, where the cover was Speedy, Green Arrow's sidekick, or Red Arrow, or Arsenal, whatever you want to call him. On the cover, and he had the heroin package laying in front of him. He had the needle sitting there, and pretty much all the stuff to start doping up the needle in his arm. And this cover really doesn't suggest anything in the book about drugs or anything else like that. It's, you know, like I said, it's a basic generic Spider-Man cover with Spidey and Green Goblin going at each other. So, like I said, this one got overshadowed by DC, but both companies were doing I wouldn't say really a big anti-drug campaign, just a drug awareness.
You don't think maybe that was just Marvel playing it safe, like not having any drugs on the cover of their books, because, you know, kids buy comics, and, you know, some parents saw their kid with a book with a guy with a bunch of heroin in it, they may not buy it for their kid. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Well, I mean, the issue with the Green Lantern issue and stuff like that, that sold out really well. I mean, parents had to be buying that one, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's... Alright. Now we go on with The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 121, guys, and this is a very powerful issue. This is the death of his girlfriend, right there, Gwen Stacy. Now, there's a lot of people up to this point, up to the end of this issue. It says, well, I'll read the cover in case you guys can't read it. It says, "My spider sense is never wrong. Someone close to me is about to die. Someone I cannot save. But who? Who?" And pretty much, there was a lot of foreshadowing beforehand, and a lot of people, because of the drug issue that I just reviewed, were thinking Harry Osborn was going to be the one to OD and kick the bucket. But at the end of the issue, you find out that's not the case at all. So go ahead and we'll open it up. And there's Spider-Man. And there's Spider-Man chilling outside Harry Osborn's bed. And Harry Osborn at this point is pretty much getting over his drug addiction, essentially. And Spider-Man's just hanging out, making sure that he's okay. That's, you know, Mary Jane and the rest of them chilling by bedside. And there's Norman Osborn right there, yelling at Parker, pretty much telling him that I told you not to be anywhere near my son. Another ad. And they basically, Norman Osborn's yelling at Peter Parker, essentially blaming him for everything.
Does he know that he's Spider-Man at this point?
At this point? Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, he's basically blaming him for everything, and Harry Osborn right there is trying to tell his dad to calm down, you know, it's not Peter's fault, blah blah blah, and pretty much passes out, and that doesn't really help the situation between the two of them anymore. So then you see Spider-Man doing his web thing, and in the Daily Bugle doing his thing, and his Spider-Man thing again. And then right here he starts to see, Norman Osborn starts to see hallucinations of Spider-Man. And there's the Green Goblin. Green Goblin right here sees Gwen Stacy, he knows what's going on, and then he cuts back over to Spider-Man. And Spider-Man actually, he goes to Gwen Stacy's house, sees the place ransacked, sees the pumpkin bomb and the note, and is in dire shock of it. Oh, this right here, this is something you don't see really more in Heroes either. Advertisements for the company's other books. It says, Luke Cage takes on Mr. Death, don't miss it, Heroes for Hire number 10. So, like I said, you don't see that anymore either. He reads the note, and he goes up to the bridge. The fight starts, and there's Gwen Stacy right there, passed out, pretty much knocked out by the Green Goblin, essentially. The Green Goblin, you know, saying, "It's quite simple, web spinner. Your presence in this world has been a source of constant agony to me. I wish you to leave it permanently, or else Gwen Stacy dies." That cuts at Pumpkin Boy, and he basically, Angry Spider-Man steps in, and right there's another advertisement for the Fantastic Four. The fight starts. And the fight keeps going on. Fight keeps going on. Spider-Man scores a victory blow against the Green Goblin. And right here, starting right here, is pretty much where the shit starts to hit the fan right here in this panel. This top right panel. It says, "My best bet is to pick Gwen up and run. And there's the lady now out like a light. Good thing too is Spidey's to save his secret identity." But as Spidey hurries towards the reunion, the Green Goblin performs a reunion of his own, aided by the remote-controlled flyer of his own design. And Spider-Sense goes off, and he screams, "Gwen looks like she's in a state of shock. I'd better get her to the hospital. Have them give her a sedative of some kind. You cursed interloper. You'll never take that girl anywhere. She's doomed, do you hear me? Doomed, and so are you!" Green Goblin knocks her off, and got some more ads. Learn to play the guitar in 7 days.
Not possible.
Falls. You know, he's Gwen. No! I gotta catch her. Stop the fall before she hits the water. Did it. And you see the web sound on her leg, you know, makes the sound. Then you hear the snap. I've got to. Spider powers, I love you. Not only am I the most dashing hero on 2 legs, I'm easily the most versatile. Who else could save a fallen girl from certain death? Gwen? Hey kid, what's wrong? Don't you understand? I saved you. You can't be. No. Don't be dead. Gwen, I don't want you to be dead. I saved you, honey. Don't you see? I saved you. And then Green Goblin comes back on the outside of the panel and says, "Romantic idiot. She was dead before your webbing reached her. A fall from that height would kill anyone before they struck the ground. But for you, my friend, death will come quickly and more surely than the shock of a sudden fall." And he says, "Wrong, Goblin." And this is the most powerful scene in my opinion in Spider-Man history, is where he's holding Gwen on top of the bridge and she's limp because she's dead. And he cries out, "You're the creep who's gonna pay. You killed the woman I love, and for that, you're going to die. I'm going to get you, Goblin. I'm going to destroy you slowly, and when you start begging for me to end it, I'm going to remind you of one thing." So, like I said, this is the most. I mean, even looking at this back page, it still sends chills up my spine, you know. Because up to this point, no one really had ever died in a comic book really close to the hero. I mean, you had people like Captain Stacy die and stuff like that, who were, you know, integral parts of the book that people would care about character-wise, but they didn't really have a tie to the character on the outside world. And then you see somebody as close as Gwen Stacy to Peter Parker, and you know the fans know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and up to that point, Gwen didn't know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So you really find out. So she doesn't ever find out that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, but the fans, the readers know that Parker was Spidey, and that's the clincher for it, essentially the heart jerker on that one. And there's a lot of people who feel that out of the two, between MJ and Gwen was a better love interest and stuff, because up to that point, Gwen was the do everything on her own type girl, and MJ was the party girl. But MJ really wasn't written in a whole lot. You know, she'd be at a party or walking down the street having a good time, and it just kind of got to a point to where after they got married, MJ and Peter Parker, MJ just became this worrywart of sorts. I wonder what Peter's doing right now, and then cut to another scene where he's fighting Green Goblin or Scorpion or whatever. So, but that's it, guys. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 121. Amazing Spider-Man number 97. if you guys are a comic collector of any kind, and just, I mean, any kind, whether you get the essential books for the mainstay characters like Spider-Man, Batman, or Superman, or whatever, then these are 2 books that should be in your collection if you find them. They're pretty hard to find now, given their age and given what's going on in the book. Gwen Stacy has never come back. Gwen Stacy died, and she's been dead since this issue, and this happened in mid-70s era.
Except in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man doesn't count.
Okay.
Ultimate Spider-Man, even still, that Gwen Stacy is still a clone.
Okay.
So, yeah, and in the regular universe, Gwen Stacy has been cloned a couple times and brought back, but the original Gwen Stacy has never come back and stayed. Now, as far as, and then, you know, issue 97, it's 97. They're in the 600s now, almost 700s for Amazing Spider-Man. So if, like I said, if you guys can find these, pick them up, no matter what type of comic collector you are, whether you just collect Spider-Man stuff, then these have to be in your collection. And right now, I don't think the price on Amazing 121 has gone up really at all. But with the anticipation of Gwen Stacy, the character, being in the new Amazing Spider-Man movie, I would assume that the book for 121 and Gwen's first appearance do go up in price just because of the movie alone. Now, number 97 I picked up from a flea market, from a coin collector store, believe it or not, for $5. As you see, it's not in the best shape, and the cover's pretty beaten up and whatnot. The fading somewhat there, and then the bends on the cover and stuff. But the inside is in pretty good condition. I picked it up for, like I said, $5. A near mint copy should run you $100, if that. No more than that. So, but that's it, guys. That's our first comic book review.
I guess first official, because Ryan reviews the ones that comes with the the 2-packs.
Yeah, our first. Yeah, that's true. I guess our first official comic book review, and like I said, with the Amazing Spider-Man movie coming out, I figured it would be in good taste to review some Spider-Man books. And for those people who really don't know who Gwen Stacy is, I figured I'd do a little catch-up with the depth of, introduce the character a little bit to the people out there who don't know, who only associate Spider-Man with Mary Jane Watson. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's our, like I said, our first official comic review, and I hope you enjoyed it. And this is Donald with our 3 points of articulation, signing out. Gonna add stuff to my collection today. Gonna check out the figure with the pictures online. Gonna do it anyway, cause I already know what I want, and it's sold out. Down!
Alright guys, welcome back to 3 Points of Articulation. Today we're looking at the Ghostbusters 2 4-pack Toys R Us exclusive from Mattel, or Maniac Collector. But this was a Toys R Us exclusive, and it will run you about $65 after tax. It is totally worth it. These guys look just like they did in the movies. There's some really nice details on the outfits, on the accessories, the proton packs. The only problem with mine is that Slimer has 2 right hands. I don't know why that is, but no, other than that, these look really, really, really nice. They look like, Winston looks just like Ernie Hudson. Peter looks just like Bill Murray when he was younger. Because Bill Murray wishes he looked like that now.
Yeah, Bill Murray didn't age too well.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, Bill Murray, sorry.
Dan Aykroyd, Ray Stantz just like him, and then Harold Ramis, is that his name? Yeah. He doesn't like that anymore either. He didn't age too well either.
No, he didn't.
Ernie Hudson still looks somewhat like he.
No. Ernie Hudson looks just like Ernie Hudson still.
Yeah.
It is crazy. That man did not age whatsoever.
We saw him like a few weeks ago at like Comic Palooza here in Houston. So, yeah. These are really nice figures. I don't know, they didn't miss out on any of the details for these things. Like, these things actually came with the Santa Claus hats, which, I just threw away in the box because I don't need those things. I just wanted some new Ghostbusters because the only ones that I had were the original 1980s Kenner figures, which they're not bad, just mine need to be touched up some. I need to go down to get some model paint and do that.
Well, those are based off the cartoon from the 80s as well.
Yeah.
And this is based off the movie, so.
Yeah. But these are really nice. Like, at first, I wasn't going to review these, but Donald said I had to. So, because the way I see it, there's already several good reviews for these toys online. But I guess they're not ours, so let's do our own. Let's just start with Slimer here, since he's basically just, he's not a figurine because he's got articulation, but, he can rotate his shoulders and his elbows. He comes with this little clear plastic figure stand to keep him from, I guess like he's floating over there in the air. The paint details on this thing are really nice. Like, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can actually see like I guess not the focus on this thing. Maybe not. You can see the taste buds like painted on his tongue. The paint on his teeth is really nice, on his eyes. He's like this somewhat see-through green plastic because he's a ghost and he's made of slime, so that's pretty good. The other figures, Dawn, you want to come in here and take over?
I guess we'll go to Winston, which is the next in the lineup. Winston actually looks extremely well, and like we said, he looks exactly like Ernie Hudson did back in the 80s, and well, the way Ernie Hudson looks today, let's face it. It's really cool. They come with the Ghostbusters 2 logo right here on the side of the arm, and that's standard on all 4 figures, all 4 Ghostbusters. The Proton Pack is the same Proton Pack for all 4 Ghostbusters, and as you can see, the wiring they put into it, the detail on it all together is just amazingly well done. They even got the clip to hold the gun pack or gun part of the Proton Pack right there. Kind of clips in.
Yeah, that was one of the main things that attracted me to actually wanting to buy these. Because I had been debating spending the money on them because I was like, I'm just going to find them online for cheaper, and that wasn't happening. So this was a good decision to make here to purchase these.
Well, you got 5 figures for $60, so I mean that's something extremely rare to get these days.
Yeah.
Just in general.
The guns themselves are they're kind of flexible. They're not like a stiff plastic, so you can actually get them in their hands and move them different positions, whatever, make it easier to pose them with, whatever.
Yeah, it's made out of softer plastic.
Yeah.
Softer rubbery plastic.
And then the belts, like they're all wearing the same exact belts with the silver buttons painted on their equipment.
I think all the figures are actually the same mold, aren't they?
Except for Peter. Except
for Peter's bottom, which we'll get to in a second, guys. And then I guess we'll go to Egon. All right.
Since he has a trap.
And this is interesting. He's the only one who comes with the trap out of this entire pack, which I guess makes sense because most of the time in the movie he's the only one stepping on it.
Which is cool because there is actually the pedal for the trap, connected to it with a softer piece of plastic for the wire, and then the trap doors actually do open and close.
The thing about the trap right here on the pedal, the thing that really got to me, was the pedal was actually articulated. If I can get the camera to focus on something other than Egon here. Well, I guess that's the best you can get. Is you can see how it's articulated here, but it's kind of molded down here to where it can't be pressed in or stomped on or anything else. It's just kind of molded into itself, but for whatever reason they articulated the back of it right there, so it could at one point, I guess, come down or go up and down or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but that's the only question I got is why. So.
But yeah, he holds it in his hand, just like anybody else can hold the trap if they want to, since all their hands are the same. But his glasses are really nice as well because they're a nice see-through plastic frames and everything. You can see his eyes. They're not really. They're somewhat magnified, not too much. But yeah, it looks exactly like Egon from the movie. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it's really nice to get when you get figures like this that actually look like their source material.
Yeah.
So.
And then we'll move over here to Ray, who looks just like Dan Aykroyd back in his heyday. I guess he's also looked like they do in the Ghostbusters video game on PS3 and 360 because.
Well, that's based off the movies too.
Yeah, and those guys probably wish they looked like that when they saw that game too. I hate to be making fun of those guys. Those guys are awesome. Except for maybe Bill Murray, since we're not getting Ghostbusters 3 now. So I don't know. But yeah, Ray looks just like Ray in the movie. Not much to say about Ray there. I forgot to mention the straps on the proton packs are actually molded onto the outfit as well. There's this weird like cross hatching for the texture. And all their names are individually painted on their outfit as well too. So.
And these are all hand painted on too.
Yeah.
Their names, because when we were at Toys R Us, I noticed that, especially on Ray's here, the word stance was a little further over to the left or further over to the right, depending on which box he was in. So.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool that they're hand done like that.
And now we go to Peter, who is the only one who has some differences with his mold here.
And who is my favorite Ghostbuster.
Yeah. Is it true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. Peter here, unlike the other Ghostbusters, his pants legs aren't tucked into his boots. They're kind of just folded over, which is very accurate to the movie, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was kind of the laid back one or whatever. But yeah, they all have the same clear plastic tubing coming from the proton pack to the pants. I'm not sure why that's there. Why is that there?
I would think since it's a nuclear accelerator, the heat would have to go somewhere.
In your pants? Where it's already hot?
Well, no, I mean, the pants might be some type of thermal material. So instead of putting the exhaust gas out of a nuclear accelerator into the atmosphere, which I would think would be bad, you know, the pants just kind of filter it out and then come down the pant leg and exit out that way, I guess. But I would think, like I said, that's some type of exhaust system for the proton pack. Anyway, but like I said, they're all the same exact mold, except for Peter's bottom, which obviously they remolded to, like Mr. Jones said, for the for his look, to have an accurate look. But they're all essentially the same exact figure. As Chris puts down their 80s cartoon counterparts.
Because you gotta have those guys too.
Yeah.
Those awesome cartoons.
Ghostbusters! Unfortunately, Mr. Jones is actually missing the 1980s Slimer. But
do you even have one of those?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a big part of the cartoon. It ran, what, 5 seasons or something?
Maybe 6, I think. I don't know.
So I would think that, I think with Slimer would definitely have to be made in there somewhere. But honestly, guys, these figures are really, 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 really well done. I know that's a lot of reallys in there, and I really do mean it when I say that these figures are freaking sweet. And that's really honestly all there is to it. Really honestly to say, for $65 at Toys R Us, and that includes tax, $64.94. You get 5 figures, and I mean 5 figures. Slimer is not an accessory. Slimer is his own personal figure. He does have articulation and he has his own stand. I can see Slimer coming in a 2-pack with the Boogeyman or something like that.
I think he actually came with originally for the first Ghostbusters movie toy line that they had. I think he came with Peter, I think, as like an accessory. I think, I could be wrong. I know he came packaged with somebody. Just don't remember who exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I can see him totally being packed in with the Boogeyman or something like that, to be his own figure. So, like I said, guys, these figures are really, really nice. Alright, guys, it's size comparison time. As you can see, they all stand about 6 inches tall, while their 80s cartoon counterparts here stand roughly, what, 5 inches tall or something?
I have to point out, too, that the cartoon versions, they're actually varying heights. Like, they're not all the same size, kind of like the cartoon. Like, Egon is taller than the others, and, you know, Ray is a little bit shorter and pudgier, which I'm not sure why Ray's pudgy. This, you know, Dan Aykroyd was pudgy by the time this cartoon came on. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I get. Well, Ray was always the bigger of the group,
yeah.
You know, like not like fat wise, I guess build wise or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Egon's roughly about 5.5 inches tall with his hair and stuff. But yeah, the 80s figures do vary in height, which is actually something pretty rare for figures back in the day like that.
Yeah.
So
Slimer is probably a little bit shorter than the Boogeyman from the Mini-Mates line of Ghostbusters toys, I think. He might be, you know, slightly. Yeah, he's slightly smaller than the Boogeyman.
The Slimer stands, what, 2.5 inches?
Yeah, maybe 2, if even that.
2.5 inches.
Yeah.
And then Boogeyman stands about 3 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you, Egon!
Yeah, that's pretty much the size comparison, guys. Like I said, 6 inches for the Ghostbusters, the newer ones, and then anywhere between 5 and 5.5 inches.
I forgot to point out that the Ghostbusters 2 figures, for some reason, with the exception of Ernie Hudson here or Winston, Peter, Ray, and Egon's skin tone is darker than the first movie releases. Almost like they got a tan, but I think it actually goes well with the color of their costumes from the second movie with the darker gray color as opposed to the color that Ray's wearing here, I guess.
Yeah.
It's more closer to the first movie. So, yeah. I think if you guys, like, find these at Toys R Us, you know, if it's the last one and stuff, like, I had to me and Donald looked through several boxes to try to find one that had the least amount of paint slop on them, because, I mean, they weren't all too bad. It was just, every now and then you see, like, a spot on someone's face or whatever, and I'm kind of picky about my toys. But if you go to Toys R Us and you see these guys and there's only 1 or 2 boxes left, definitely, you know, pick them up. I mean, you're not going to regret this purchase. I mean, these things look really nice on your toy shelf. If you have an Ecto-1 that's, you know, in scale with these guys, I say definitely go for it and, you know, set up a Ghostbusters scene on your shelf.
I would think the original Ecto-1 figure from the 80s would be really close to being in scale with the 6-inch line Ghostbusters 2 right here, the bigger ones in the back.
Yeah.
The Ecto-1 figure was from the 80s cartoon, but I remember I remember the toy for the Ecto-1 being somewhat out of scale for these guys, so it could possibly end up being in scale now, currently in scale with the newer Ghostbuster figures.
I'll have to check on eBay later on to see if I can find an Ecto-1.
But yeah, you should. But I do agree with Chris here. If you guys happen to find them at Toys R Us, it don't even matter what you're on the hunt for. Pick up if you find what you're on your hunt for, pick up that and the Ghostbusters figures. They are worth every penny. And like I said, it's 5 figures for $65.
And Donald, when we got in the car, Donald was like, I'm thinking about getting these myself too.
Yeah. Honestly, what sold me on the pack is the attention to Peter Venkman's detail. Like I said, he's untucked, and that honestly, that sold me on the figures. Not the detail of everybody else, but just the attention to detail on Peter's pants
and the proton packs.
Yeah, and the proton packs. They looked really good. So Like I said, 65 bucks, 5 figures, you can't go wrong. And let's be honest, guys, we go out, we buy a figure for 20 bucks now, and that's one figure. So 3 figures for 60 bucks, you know, after tax and whatnot, and for 60 bucks you get 5. So it's a really good deal. If you know, like I said, I wholeheartedly agree. If you find them, you should definitely pick them up for the price that they are.
Yeah. Well, once again, this has been Chris, Mr. Jones,
and Grimmy the Reaper.
And thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, share our links on your Facebook pages, wherever. And we'll try to bring you even more cool reviews on geek-related things like toys and comics, games, movies, cartoons, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks for checking us out again, guys. And this is 2 members of 3 Points of Articulation.
Yeah, because Ryan's at work right now.
Signing out.